Well, good evening, campers. I thought I would change it up a bit. Good evening instead of good morning, because it is the evening. So anyway, I have my lovely assistant here who's going to remain off camera, Lisa, the lovely Lisa, because she's not quite, well, I think she would just, you know. What do you think, Lisa? No, she said she doesn't want to be on camera right now. So anyway, that's okay. But she is going to be filming. And I'm going to go through my gear. And everything I liked about it, everything I didn't like just the whole bit. And I'll tell you what I thought about the gear that I took. And kind of like the changes that I made along the ways. And if there's anything I would do different. So I will pass this over to the lovely Lisa, and she will film me doing the gear. Okay. Hey guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is my backpack. So my backpack that I used for the majority of the trail was the ULA circuit. I got to tell you, I would definitely buy this backpack again. So I'm going to make a comparison. I know I kind of have talked about the backpacks before, but I really like this one. The ULA circuit, I believe it's a 68 litre backpack. This has which was Cameron's pick. He picked like the S kind of shoulder straps, which are for women, because they have, they have boobs, and it helps go around them. And it's for guys that have big shoulders. So Cameron is pretty broad, so he got this. But I have to tell you, this carries the weight really well, really well. And there is absolutely, there is no wear on this whatsoever. And this backpack probably has 2,000 miles on it. Now, if I compare that to my Gossamer Gear Mariposa 60, that after 420 miles, which was basically, well, it was more than that actually, because I used it from the New Mexico border to Grants, and then I used it from going southbound. I used it from Chief Mountain to Darby, but before I'd even used it on the southbound hike, it had wear on the sides where the straps were against the waistband. So I mean, and I had contacted, I think I had told you guys about that. I had contacted them and said, listen, and they offered to get me a new hip belt and stuff. But I mean, this has way more miles on it, and it has no wear. So this is the backpack, and I would buy this one again. No doubt in my mind. But it's not 100% waterproof. It's water resistant. It's more water resistant than the Mariposa. It wears better than the Mariposa, and I think the material is a better quality. But the Mariposa, I think, could be lighter. Maybe not. I don't really know. But anyway, if I had to buy a new backpack, this would be the one, and I would go with the S straps, because they carried the load really well. So that's my backpack. And then the only thing I have to add to that is I had the Gossamer Gear phone. This is excellent. And this is in awesome shape. I put it through the washing machine to wash it. And there's no wear on it. Everything's in really good shape. I would buy this again, without a doubt. And it attaches to my backpack really well, and it carried my cell phone. It's not 100% waterproof, but it's water resistant, and it works pretty well, and it did a really good job of protecting my phone. So this I would buy again, no doubt, without a doubt. Now let's go on to the tent. So you guys know I had the Gossamer Gear, the 2. So in all fairness, the tent never let me down once. And I always used the Tyvek sheet when I set it up as a ground sheet. and there's hardly any wear on this tent. The two doors and everything, the zips, everything worked really well. It kept me dry. I never had a problem with it blowing down. What I used for tent stakes was I used 2 of the MSR groundhogs, like these ones. I used 2 of these, one on each pole for the pole side to stake out the trekking poles. And then I used the MSR shepherd's hook poles, which I really like, for the rest of the tent. And this worked really well. And I would certainly do that again. The only thing I will say about, and the Tyvek sheet worked fantastic. I would not go without a Tyvek sheet ever again. The one thing I will say about the Gossamer Gear the 2 is, I hate to say this, it's too big. It's too big of a footprint. I was trying to get underneath trees and stuff, and just so to deal with condensation and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, the Gossamer Gear is too big. My only complaint about the Gossamer Gear the 2 is it's too big. If I'm going to do it again, which I probably will, whether it's a through hike or just a weekend or 5 days or 7 or whatever, if I'm on my own, I'm not going with Lisa. If I'm on my own, I'm going to get a 1-person tent. That's now my plan. And actually, the one that I've been looking at is the Durston 1-person tent. That's the one I'm looking at. But as for the Gossamer Gear, I really have no complaints about the tent. And if there was 2 people sleeping in it, it would be perfect, because there's lots of room, lots of vestibule space, and it doesn't leak. It didn't leak once on me, not once. But because of condensation, frost, and that, it's a bigger material, so it takes longer to dry, all that kind of stuff. And it's a big footprint. But other than that, the tent was excellent. Now, the next thing we can go on to is my sleeping bag. So this is like really expensive sleeping bag, right? The Western Mountaineering, it's the 10-degree bag, but this bag is in excellent shape. I mean, there is nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have any rips in it. I looked after it. It kept me warm. I never had a problem. I think once I was a little cold, and that may have been because that my mat, it was starting to compress, so I think I got cold from the ground up. But this here was an excellent sleeping bag. And like I said, it's held up really well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I washed it with the Nick Wax down wash. I washed it with this, and it's fine. It's great. I can use it again. It's no problem. So I'm really happy with the sleeping bag. I would buy that bag again. My only complaint about the bag is sometimes it was too warm. That's the only complaint I have. And now the other part of my sleeping system was my mat. So I started off with the Thermarest X-Lite, and then I decided to go with the Nemo Switchback. Couple of reasons for that. I have really no complaints about the Thermarest X-Lite, other than the silver side kind of just disintegrated on me. It wasn't shiny. It didn't. I mean, I know the shine comes off, but it happened really quick. And the mat lasted me, but it just got compressed. Well, I mean, after 5 months of me using it, it compressed. But you know what? I'm trying the Nemo Switchback for no other reason to see if this one would sort of hold up as well as the Thermarest, or if it holds up better. I just wanted to try something a little different. And this one's a lot more shiny. And actually, when I switched it out, I did notice the difference between this one and the Thermarest, because like I said, just over time, through wear and tear, the foam had compressed and it wasn't keeping me as warm. And I totally lost the silver kind of reflective lining that helps add the R value to it. But I mean, I have no complaints really about the Thermarest. I think it did me really well. And the Nemo, you know, if it lasts as long as the other one, I'll be happy, but I wouldn't change anything. And as you know, I didn't have a air mattress because I can't be bothered with the patching holes or blowing it up. I just want to roll stuff out. And I mean, I used my mat lots. I used it for sitting down for a break. I used it for at lunchtime. I used it to lay my stuff on. Like, I wouldn't go without one of these mats. I'm really happy, and I'm okay with not having an air mattress because I just don't want the hassle of an air mattress. I'd just rather not. So yeah, happy with the mat that went with my sleeping bag and was in my tent. And the other part of this setup was my poles. So I had the Black Diamond cork handled Trail Cork Pros. You know what? The tips are still okay. One tip is a little worn, but these were fantastic. I didn't have any problems with them. They're still in good condition, other than the day I had a wipeout and knocked off a whole piece of the cork here, and that's why I have some Luca tape on there. But you know, other than that, yeah, they're a little heavier because they're not carbon fiber. They're not carbon fiber. Yeah, these are aluminum. But yeah, I would never had any problems. I'd buy these again. And like I said, my Tyvek sheet, that's self-explanatory. I would certainly never go without that. And actually, this is it here. And you know, it's a little worn. I don't know if I can keep using it. It has a few small holes in it, but I don't know if I would need to buy a new one. And the other thing I did with it, I put these grommets in the corners. That's for windy days, so I can just kind of peg it out so it doesn't blow away on me while I'm pitching my tent on top. And that worked really good. So I'm really happy with that. And that was the Big 3 sleep system. Next thing I'm going to go on to is my clothing. Okay, we'll get that ready for you guys. Hey guys, so let's start with my shirt. This is a cool shirt. I don't know the model, but this was a shirt. I actually bought this shirt in Silver City and didn't even see it. I bought it over the phone because I had ordered a pair of new shoes from those. I had a pair of shoes from those guys. And then I realized I needed a shirt. So let's go back to the start. So the shirt I started was a blue Merano kind of wool sun hoodie. It didn't even get me through. It got me through New Mexico, but it was full of holes in the back. It just didn't wear well. So what I did was I ended up, when I came home, I already had this shirt, but when I came home, I had a Columbia, a blue shirt like this, wasn't a hoodie. And so what I did was I used the sun hoodie that had the holes in it as a sleep shirt, and I took my blue Columbia shirt and I wore that. And as you guys know, that took me a long ways through. I can't remember exactly where it failed on me, but it basically, I wore it out is what happened. And then the blue hoodie, what happened was in Leadville, and I know when I changed out the hoodie, in Leadville, I actually put the blue hoodie that still had holes in it, I put it in the hiker box in the hostel in Leadville, and I was using my Melly as a sleep shirt, but that's another story. I'll tell you about that. But anyway, I think if I had bought this shirt at the start of the trail, I think this shirt would have taken me the whole way through. So I would buy this shirt again. It doesn't have that many miles on it, but I really like it. And I think it would wear really well. If you go and buy other cool stuff that I've used, this stuff wears really well. But this shirt dries quick, it has pockets, it has elastic kind of in certain places. It's a really nice shirt. It was a bit expensive, but I think this shirt would have taken me the whole way through. Columbia didn't, and the other Merano wool hoodie, that didn't either. So I went through 3 shirts basically, and But this one is still good. I can wear this one for my next trip, no problem whatsoever. So to go along with that, let's look at my pants. These are my cool pants. These were the Liberator. They don't make them anymore. These are kind of wore out. I repaired them twice basically in the crotch, but that wasn't because actually the garment failed. It was because, well, the stitching did. And then I ripped them there, but I repaired them. But these pants, I bought them actually before I even did the through hike. I went to Nepal. I hiked all the way through Nepal with these. I've taken them on other hiking trips before my through hike, and they lasted me the whole way through. And you know what? They are kind of wore out. I mean, some people would probably still wear them, but they're starting to get holes. There's a hole in the bottom here. The stitching is kind of wearing out. I may still wear them. That's why I'm keeping them. I may still wear them for like training. I wouldn't probably take them on a through hike, but they're still. I mean, they're getting there. They're pretty thin. The material's getting pretty thin. But these are excellent pants. They wear really, really well. They've held up, like I said, the whole through hike. They have I guess it doesn't really matter now, but they have pockets here. I used to put my damp socks in there, and they would be against my legs. Even if I had the shorts, if I had the legs off, I'd put my socks in there, and they'd dry out from the heat of my legs and my body, and then inside there, and then getting the sun and stuff, they dry out. I could get my Sawyer squeeze in this pocket right here on the side in the plastic bag. I slept with my Sawyer squeeze in that pocket, so it was always stop it from freezing. And then even during the day, if it was a little chilly during the day, I put the Sawyer squeeze in this little pocket here. I mean, I really utilized these pants, and I would buy them again. And actually, you know what, in all honesty, there's still some life in these, and that's why I'm keeping them. The bottoms are a little more faded. They're zip-offs. They're the zip-off pants. So I wore the shorts, and then if it was cool, I put the pants on. And I actually bought another pair before I left, because I wanted to have a pair, and I thought they might be a little cheaper in the States for coming home in Canada, because they're made in the States. And but yeah, they're a little worn on the bottoms here. And but yeah, these are excellent, and that's why I bought another pair. So I would use these again. This is kind of frayed, like this stuff here on the rubbing on the inside, but they've got they probably do have over 3,000 miles on them. If I think about Nepal, other hikes I've done, and this through hike, there's thousands of miles on these pants, and they're still usable. So I'd use these again, without a doubt. I guess I will show you, just for a kind of joke. This was my replacement underwear. I have another pair that kind of has mountains on them. These are kind of like rocks, and I really like these underwear. I bought them. I actually bought them in, where was it we were at? I think it was Breckenridge. And I was having a heck of a time finding underwear that isn't cotton. So I ended up with these sacks, and they're kind of the more breathable type of material. But yeah, I'd buy them again. I had the Smart Wool underwear, which I actually wore right out. I just wore out. They were see-through between the crotch is what happened. Like there was nothing left in them. But and then I got these in Breckenridge, and I would buy these again. These are good. I didn't have any problems with those. Other thing I'm going to tell you, Darn Tough socks. You gotta love. These are the mid-weight hikers. I would definitely buy these again. And you know what? Darn Tough were really good. I called Darn Tough on one pair, sent them pictures. They mailed me a pair of socks, if you guys remember it, in Leadville. I went through 4 pairs of Darn Tough socks for the whole through hike. And of course, they all got replaced. So, yeah, I do it again. The only thing maybe I would think about is because I was so prone to blisters all the time, is maybe I would wear a small liner sock inside there. I don't know if that would help. I'm gonna maybe try that, but yeah, darn tough socks. Can't beat them. Love them. Now that I'm on the socks, these were the last pair of shoes that I bought. So I went through 5 pairs of shoes. These are the Topo Ultra Adventure 2. Out of all the shoes I used, these were the best pair I ever had. So I started with Lone Peak 6s, Ultra Lone Peak 6s. They didn't really work for me because I was carrying, I'm not exactly ultra light. I'm not light. I'm on the heavier end of that. And I just pounded them out through New Mexico and through the Gila, although they did get a real workout in the Gila. Then I had the Ultra, the other ones, not the Lone Peaks, but the Olympus. And the soles and everything lasted really well, but the uppers, I repaired them. But there again, they got a real workout going through the bob when all those blowdowns. So I don't know if that played a factor in it or not. The next ones I had was the Topo Ultra Adventure Pro. Those were okay. They were good, I guess. I think I got over 600 miles on the first pair, but the soles came away from the actual shoe, and Topo replaced a pair for me, and the next pair I got weren't as bad. The only thing I will say is that because they're not as meshy as these, your feet don't breathe as much. So my feet got pretty hot in them. But they're very similar to these. But these are more meshy, so your feet breathe, and also your shoes dry quicker. And so do your socks, obviously. So for me, I would go with these as opposed to the Topo Adventure Pros. The other thing is if you look at these shoes, they never separated. If I had a pair of my old Ultra Adventure Pros, they still separated. The second pair separated, but not as bad as the first pair I had. So these shoes actually, I feel, were the best shoes that I had. They held up the best. In Canada, I got a really good deal with these. In Canada, these shoes are $210 Canadian. Now, I've done a few. I used to do quite a bit of running, and I always use New Balance, and I'm tempted to try New Balance trail runners. But if they didn't work out, I'd probably go back to these. I'd go back to these for sure. So just something, something to think about. But yeah, I'm really happy with these shoes. These held up the best at all 5 pairs.
Didn't you mention something about a rock plate?
Yeah, actually you're right, Lisa. These shoes here don't have a rock plate. The other shoes had a rock plate. The Ultra Adventure Pros, they had a rock plate, but these don't. They don't have a rock plate, and I didn't feel the rocks in these shoes as much as I felt them. I felt them more with the other shoes that had the rock plate as opposed to these. So yeah, you're right, Lisa, that was the other thing. These were really good. I liked them. I really liked them. I would buy them again, but I may just try another pair and actually my feet were the best in these. But the other thing, the only other clothing I really can tell you about is my merino wool long underwear that I virtually never used. So, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if I would buy this again. And the only reason is this stuff is kind of, like when I put the two of them together, I don't know what the weight is. I'd have to put it on a scale, but it's actually quite heavy. And I think I would try something maybe a little lighter. What happened was I initially used to sleep in this stuff, in the sleeping bag. And then as the weather got colder, what I don't like is I don't like waking up and putting my cold clothes on. So I would sleep with the clothes inside the sleeping bag. Then I decided, you know what? If my clothes are inside the sleeping bag anyway, I might as well sleep with them on. So what I did was, I used to brush all the loose dirt off, any mud or anything like that before I got in the sleeping bag. And I used to sleep with my clothes on inside my sleeping bag. And so I never used those much. And like I said, I maybe would go with a lighter pair just for, I think I might have used them more if I had a lighter pair, but I was too hot in those and they were heavy. And yeah, so because I ended up leaving the shirt at home when I took the blue hoodie. When I came back, when I started northbound, I had the whole set. When I went southbound, I left the shirt at home and then only took the leggings because I had the blue Murano wool hoodie, which actually worked better, which I did wear quite a good bit in when the weather was nice. But when the weather got ugly and colder, I was sleeping with my clothes on. So there was really no benefit. So yeah, it's not that they performed badly, it's just that I think maybe I would go with something a little lighter. Now, this blue hoodie, which is really old, I don't know how old it is. It's an old mountain equipment co-op, or it's now an old mountain equipment company.
It's a fleecy, not a hoodie.
Oh, sorry, Lisa, you're right. It's a fleecy. This is a light fleece, and I tell you what, I don't know if you noticed on the videos, but I wore this a lot, and it's still good, and I would take it again. So would I take the Melly? I bought the Melly because I wanted a Melly from Colorado. I mean, I really like the Melly. I mean, up until today, when I washed it, I've been wearing the Melly since I got back, and I love it. But I really like this. I really like this fleecy. I like the weight of it. It keeps me warm. It has this pocket. I wore it all the time, especially when the weather got cooler. And if it was windy, I'd wear this. And it just helped. It didn't cut the wind, but at least the wind, it kept me warm even though it was windy. So I would do this again. Just because, and I mean, like I said, I've had it for years. I don't even know how long I've had it. The other thing I had that I didn't really use a lot of was actually my fleecy jacket. So, but I've no complaints. This again is a mountain equipment. It's called Mountain Equipment Corporation, and yeah, I got no complaints about this. I would buy one of these again, and when I did need it, it kept me warm. And yeah, it's not heavy. You know, it folds up nice, and yeah, I'd buy one again. I'd buy one of these again. I have no complaints about this with the hoodie. I didn't actually use it that much. I had the fleecy, the shirt on. For some reason, I really didn't need it. I used to wear it first thing in the morning when I got up to keep me warm. And then when I started hiking, I'd take this off. I'd keep my fleecy and my shirt on, and I'd go hiking. So yeah, that's my no complaints about that whatsoever. The other piece of clothing that I got on the trail was my Artrex rain gear. So I went with the Frog Talks. I would not do that again. This is the cheapest Artrex rain gear that you can buy, and as far as I'm concerned, it was still expensive, really expensive for me. But I went with these are the Beta, and it's Gore-Tex, and I would do this again. I used these quite a bit actually when the weather was colder. I got them in Creed, and I think I wore them 4 or 5 times since Creed, and I was really glad I had them, especially when we were up in the San Juans and it was snowing. I was wearing all this stuff, and it kept me dry, and it kept me warm. The Frog Talks didn't keep me dry; they leaked, And if I figure if I'm going to carry rain gear, I don't want it to leak. If it's not going to work, then it's no good. I don't want to carry it. I don't care how light it is. If it doesn't keep the rain out, so the Frog Togs didn't hold up for me. I wouldn't buy them again, regardless of where I was going. I would always take rain gear with me, and this is the stuff I will now take. I wouldn't take lighter rain gear because the weather's nice, and take this in the winter. I'm just taking this because if it's raining, and like what happened when we were on top, I can't remember the name of the mountain with Hong Kong and Lillian, and you know, it was cold that day, and we got soaking wet, and it was in summer. I mean, I think it was in Colorado, but yeah, I've got this now, and this is what I'm going to take, and I'm not going to worry about Frog Togs, lighter gear, cheaper. I bought this stuff now, and that's what I'm going to carry with me. And I, like I said, I used it 4 or 5 times, and I would, it was great. My hat, my other piece of equipment. Would I buy this hat again? Absolutely. I love this hat. And you know what? Look at that. I wore it every day for 5 months. And there's nothing wrong with it. So it can do another through hike. Who knows, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. But anyway, this hat, definitely do it again. And that is the clothing. That's it. That's all I took for clothing. The melee was something that I got along the way. And it's not that I wouldn't take a melee with me, but I have my fleecy. So that works for me. But I love the melee. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's it for clothing. I wouldn't change. The stuff I did change, I've told you the reasons why. And the stuff that I had, I would do it again. You know, this shirt, I would buy that again, and I would use it. I wouldn't change anything there. I might try a sun hoodie, but if I feel like because I have these flaps on this hat, I don't need a sun hoodie. Like, I have the flaps on the hat. And I like the flaps on the hat because the flaps are there all the time. I never took this off. And if I had a sun hoodie, if I wasn't wearing it and it wasn't protecting the sides of my face, I'd probably get burnt. So I probably won't get a sun hoodie for that reason, because then I wouldn't have one of these hats. Or if I had one of these hats, why would I need a sun hoodie? You know, that's kind of where I'm at. So that's why I'd go with a shirt and I'd go with this hat. That's the reason for it. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Anyway, that's it. You've actually seen my underwear. So yeah, that's what I took for clothing. There was nothing else. So other than my melee, which I had to carry, which I wouldn't carry on top of this. If I was going to take the melee, then I wouldn't take the fleece. But the chances are I'll always take the fleece. But anyway, who knows? You never know. That's it for clothing. Oh no, I had my gloves. My gloves failed because they are not waterproof. I bought those little stretchy gloves, those women's gloves, one size fits all. I really like those because I could use my phone with them. I had a pair of the outer gloves and the inner gloves. And I was going to wear, and I wore the outer gloves that day. It was raining really bad, and they didn't keep me dry. They got saturated and leaked. So I bought those blue rubber gloves to keep my hands dry in the rain, which I used a couple of times. I would substitute those for shawas, I think. That's the other thing that I'm going to do different. I would have a pair of light gloves, either those stretchy fleecy ones or something, you know, a light pair of gloves, and I'm going to buy those other gloves which are a lot more flexible than the blue ones that I bought, which I bought from Ace Home Hardware, and they're more like industrial type rubber gloves. These ones are gloves that are made in Japan, and they use them. They were designed for people who they fillet fish, who like fillet fish and cut fish. So when they're filleting the fish, they keep their hands dry. and they have like a little bit of grip. Fluffy and Roebuck had a pair of those, and they're really flexible, so you can. The trouble was with the big ones, I couldn't feel. I try and roll my tent up. Oh, that's another thing. Just now that I remember, I'll say about the tent. The tent bag, I felt was too small for the tent. When that tent got wet, or it was covered in frost, and I tried to put it in the tent bag, let me tell you, it was a job. And my tent bag I repaired because I'll just show you. This is the tent bag that went with the tent. I had to repair it a couple of times because it ripped. So like I was going to say with the gloves, when I was trying to get this tent inside there, and the tent's all covered in frost, or it's rain and it's cold in the morning, and I'm trying to get it in this bag, I had to take my gloves off, and then my hands got freezing cold, and then I'm walking around with my hands cold. So that's another reason I would buy these. I think they're called Shawas. They're made in Japan, and they're blue, and I would buy those because those gloves are a lot more flexible, and I probably would have been easier for me to get the tent in the bag. It was fine getting in the bag when it's dry, but when it's wet or it's covered in frost, it's a real pain to get it in this bag. I almost think I got the wrong bag. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that's the other thing I would do. The gloves. The other things that I took with me, I'll just grab for you, was I had my blue bandana, which I would not go without. Perfect. I used it as a sweat rag. I used it to wipe down the tent a few times. I bought another bandana, but this is it's smaller, it's lighter. I used this as a hanky, like a handkerchief. And I kept it in my right back pocket, and just to blow my nose, because I could never really do that cowboy blow. I was starting to get the hang of it, but I really didn't like it that much. So I used a hanky, and I really liked that. Wouldn't change that. Wouldn't change my blue bandana. It used to hang off my backpack when it was in the summer and I was really hot, to wipe the sweat, and then it would dry. No complaints about that. I had this buff. I only ever used this buff as a pillow, and then I actually stopped doing it. I just stuffed everything in the one bag, and I never bothered putting the buff on because the buff was underneath the sleeping bag. But I would take that again. That's it, guys. And my toque. That was the other thing I had. Yeah, I would definitely take it. It's just a regular, Carhartt toque, black toque. I'm wearing it right now because it's like 20 below here. So, yeah.
No, you're not.
Well, not right now, but I have been wearing it, haven't I, Lisa? I've been wearing my black Carhartt toque. Yeah. I'm not wearing it like it right now. But anyway, yeah, that was the other thing I had. Wouldn't change any of that. It was, I'm not, like I said, I'm not like a really lightweight guy, so this doesn't mean anything to me. My toque doesn't mean anything. It's all good. So yeah, that's my clothing. That's it. I think I got everything. If I don't, I know you guys will ask me. Oh, my head net. That's not really clothing. I never used it, but I'm glad I had it. I would take it with me again. Yeah, that's it. Okay, guys. So first thing, this was my food bag. This worked really well. Kept my food dry. I've had this bag for years. It still works. The only thing I'd probably do different is I'd probably buy a nurse snack for next time, because sometimes it was really hard to find a tree that worked for this. And if I had a nurse snack, I could have tied the earth sack to a tree, even though I couldn't have hung it on a tree. So that's, from a safety perspective, I would probably buy a nurse sack. But this bag worked well. The only other thing I would probably do is Fluffy had a bag that had a zip on it, and you could see all your food. So you unzip the bag and there was all your food. And I really like that. I would probably buy one of those, because the only downside to this bag is it's a tube, and you look inside and sometimes you can't see everything, and you got to go digging around. If it's like this and it has a zip, it just opens up and you can see everything and get everything out. So that's probably something that I would change. I have 3 silk nylon bags here that I used for spare clothing, extra food when I couldn't get it all in there, because I like to put that horizontal in my backpack. So sometimes I needed another bag for extra food, and so I had 3 of these. I'd buy these again. I really like them. I like bags. I like keeping stuff in bags. I like everything together in the bags. So I'd buy these again, without a doubt. My umbrella, 6 Moons umbrella. I'd use this again, especially in hot weather. This really does make a difference, I think. So I would do this again. I did use it once or twice when it was raining, but if it's windy, this is useless. But in hot weather, oh man, this really does work. I loved it for that. I have this little bag. This little bag actually is what Lisa's jacket came in. And I used it as a little divvy bag, which this stuff was in here. This is my divvy bag. So what do we have in here? We had a needle and thread, we had some string, we had a Leatherman, we had some first aid kit like Band-Aids, and I had nail clippers, had that file for my feet. So I guess without going through everything, had some tenacious tape. Would I take all this stuff again? The answer to that is, yeah, I probably would. I don't think I would change anything. I would carry spare rope. I would carry tenacious tape. I would carry Band-Aids, some other stuff, headache tablets like ibuprofen, a small pair of, look at those little tweezers, little small pair of tweezers there. I used my little Leatherman. I used that on more than one occasion. So would I carry that? Yeah, for me, I'd carry that. I'm not concerned about this little bit of weight with it. I would carry everything that's in here. Along with that, this is what saved my feet, Badger Balm. This was Fluffy's recommendation, and I put this when I had my feet were bad. I used the Badger Balm, and what I did was this softened the skin. What was happening to my feet were, and I probably had blisters for 2,000 miles. I'm not kidding. I probably had blisters for 2,000 miles off and on, and this was what helped me. The Luca tape helped me, but it wasn't the answer to stop solving the blisters. The answer was I had to get rid of the hard callous skin. I had to soften the skin, and then it was still callous, but not really hard, big calluses. Because what was happening was I was getting blisters underneath the calluses because the calluses were rubbing, were moving around because they were so big. So this worked. This stopped the blisters, the reoccurring blisters, along with my file, my foot file, which I don't have right here. But anyway, it was just it's a little foot file. It's about that big, and I just filed the hard skin off my feet, not all of it off, but just so it wasn't moving around and rubbing, and that worked. And I would do that again. And the Luca tape, I would take Luca tape with me because it certainly does that blister, if it's big and you burst it, you don't want that skin. You want that skin to stay in place until it's healed, till the skin on the baby skin you could say is healed. So would I take Luca tape again? Yeah, absolutely. That stuff was good. I took some duct tape and never used it, but that's okay. The reason was I used the Luca tape. But duct tape is handy if you have to do a little repair. I would do that again. I took this Sea to Summit head net, bug net, extra fine, never used it, but would I take it again? It weighs virtually nothing. I would take it again. Because if the bugs were bad, sometimes. Sawyer squeeze, I used the same Sawyer squeeze the whole trip. The whole trip, and that's because I really tried to look after it. So I used the syringe. and I would back flush the Sawyer Squeeze. The only thing that happened was I ended up replacing the cap here with a cap from a smart water bottle, because the other cap that broke actually still smells like vinegar. And that works really well actually. Just cap off a smart water bottle, and I lost the labeling, but that's okay. But that is the same Sawyer Squeeze that I started with, and it still works. And I think like it can filter like 1 million gallons of water. It's like incredible how much water that it filters. I replaced some of the O-rings, which I had in my little divvy bag here. But other than that, and I used the syringe. I know some people are used to smart water bottles and they just forced it. I felt that the syringe worked better. That you got more pressure, and for the little bit of weight, it doesn't matter to me. So I would do that again. No worries there. The other thing was my Nightcore headlamp. No issues with that whatsoever. It's a really good headlamp. I would definitely buy this headlamp again, use it again. You know, Fluffy and Robot had suggested that I take off this the elastic and just use like a string or an elastic or a shock cord, because it would be lighter. But for me, this isn't a big deal. This piece of elastic isn't a big deal for me. But the actual headlamp itself, USB to rechargeable, I'd buy one of those again. No issues with that. Just had my cords, that's just cords to recharge everything. I had no problem carrying that either. I don't have a problem with cords. The other thing was my Zoleo communicator. I really liked it for what I bought it for. I didn't buy it as a mapping. I realized that it wasn't for mapping. This was for communicating with Lisa, communicating with other people. It's flawless with your phone for messaging. It has the SOS button if you need it. It has a check-in button that if your phone wasn't working, you still want to check in with people, you still can. So it works in conjunction with your phone, but it can stand alone for limited communication, which is basically just to say, yeah, I'm okay, and oh, I need help with the SOS. But I mean, for the price and for what I needed, this worked great. Don't have any complaints about that. I had my Anchor 2100 battery bank. You know what? I remember one time I used this for 11 days before I had to recharge it. This was fantastic. I certainly had enough battery bank backup power. Like, I mean, I could have gone with half this and I probably would have been fine. So I certainly had enough power. I had more than enough power in this. I mean, it's quite heavy, but yeah, never ran out of juice ever. Certainly more than enough power there. The only thing I would do differently, actually, with this is instead of carrying one 10,000 amp, I carry two. That's my only thing, because if something happens to this, if it gets broken, I have no other way of charging. I have no backup. So I'd buy two 10s. If I was going to do it again, I'd buy two 10s rather than one big one like this. That's the only thing I'd change with regards to the battery backup. My Canadian trowel, fantastic. Look at it. Never had any problems. $2.39 in Canada to buy one of these, as opposed to $20 US to buy. For me, this isn't a problem. I put it in the front of my backpack, wrapped up in my Tyvek sheet. That's where I kept it. And you know what? I never had any problems with this whatsoever. It goes through loops. It takes a little going, you know, but it has such a nice handle. And I could dig like a nice deep hole. So this I would use. I'd buy one of these again. I wouldn't buy one of those, like, what is it they're called? Ace of Spades. I wouldn't buy one of those. It just works perfect for me. And it's light. It's not as light as maybe those, but it's light. I know it's bigger, but you know what? for me, this works just fine. I'd buy one of these again. Just a reflective rope that I kept with me the whole time. That was for my bear hangs. I'd say don't leave home without it. You know, sometimes you need a rope to dry stuff up or to hang stuff or whatever. So that no issues there with that. Here's my spoon. Thank you, Jeff, by the way, if you're watching this, because I lost my spoon almost on the 5th day going into Lordsburg, and Jeff found it. I had the same spoon. I managed it. He found it for me. I got it back, and I did a better job of looking after it, and works great. I would definitely use that again. No worries there. My little insulated pot cozy, cup cozy, whatever you want to call it, still needs a little repair, maybe a little TLC, but it held up the whole trail, and I would use that again. No, definitely. This is something I added. My CDT Summit collapsible cup. Love it. Wouldn't leave home without it. Love it, and it's never had any issues with it. It's lasted me the whole trail, and it's probably got a couple of more through hikes and left. Same with my titanium MSR titanium kettle, I think they call it. Yeah, wouldn't change it. No problem there. I would use this again, and I really liked it. It worked really well for me. The only thing I had I bought that fish tank tubing, which was meant to be silicone. Just the way the stove, I had to cut it just so it was on top here. Just so you could sort of grab it with your 2 fingers, like that. Because it was melting down here with the stove. So, and I turned the handles around. They don't actually come like this. They come the other way around with a small piece at the top. And somebody sort of had said to me, made a recommendation that maybe I should turn it around. And it works just the same. And actually I thought that was a good idea because you have more room to get your hands in at the top when it's big like that. So that's what I did. But yeah, this is great. I would do that. Oh, this was a little pad I bought. Still got a little piece of, what's that, needle, pine needle for cleaning my pot and stuff. Yeah, I really like that. And then getting to the stove. The MSR Pocket Rocket. So this was my second stove, but it was because I put the wrong gas canister on. I know other people are using them, but I'm here to tell you, Steno gas canisters, you should not put them on your stove, because I believe, and it says right on the Steno gas canister, for Steno products only. And if I was to do it again, I would not buy a Steno gas canister, because I think that's what wrecked my stove, and that's why I had to replace it with a new one. But the MSR Pocket Rocket works great for me, and I would definitely buy them again. It's heavier than the was it the BRS or 2000 or something. But you know what? This is a rock solid stove, and as long as you've got a decent canister, not a Steno, but like any of the other ones that say for all stove types, but that's not what the Steno stove canister says. So don't buy Stenos. I know they work, and it did work, but then I got one that wrecked the threads on my stove, and I couldn't use it anymore, and so I ended up buying a new stove. But I bought the other MSR Pocket Rocket, and it worked. It worked good. And you know what? I think that's it, guys. I think that's all the gear. So anyway, that's kind of it. There's not a lot I would change. Like honestly, there's not a lot I change. I try to go 1-person tent, like I said. Buy a different food bag. If I was in Grizz country, I'd probably buy the Earthsag. For a safety perspective, you know, like, because I could try that to a small tree where maybe I can't hang, but at least it's away from me. It's against the tree, so chances are they've got to work at it to get my food, so it keeps my food safe. and keeps the bears from getting in there. Yeah, I got the Artrex rainwear, which I know works really well, and it will keep me dry. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's about it. You know, had the compactor bag for the inside of my backpack. I do that again. That worked really good. I had the same bag the whole through hike. Actually, I ended up having two because I used to kind of put my sleeping bag, all my sleeping bag and dry stuff right in one bag, and then the other bag I'd kind of keep for my food and stuff that sort of got wet because it was outside, and I didn't want that mixing in with the stuff like my sleeping bag and dry clothes. So I had two compactor bags in there. Probably was a little overkill for me, but yeah, but yeah, that's it, guys. That's it. So this kind of really is the end of the through hike. This is my last video, so this is at least for just now, unless I can come up with something else, or I'm going to do something else that I think you might be interested in. But yeah, that's it. But as Lisa knows, I've said to Lisa that next year, other than maybe doing a few hikes, you know, maybe for a week or whatever, that's all I'm going to do. I won't be doing like a really long hike, but I'll go on hikes, and I'll probably do a little videos on those and tell you how I'm doing, and maybe try out my one-person tent when I get it. I have some other things I have to do first, but yeah, that's kind of my plan. So that's it. But I'm probably thinking not next year, but the year after, I'm probably going to do another through hike. I think Lisa will be okay with that. She's already told me she'd be okay with it. But I need to give Lisa a year. She gave me, 5 months, almost half a year, which really was more longer than that because I was getting the gear together and doing all that and everything else. So it was actually longer than that. But that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, but I'll be back. Andy Hikes isn't done yet. We're not done by a long way. Okay, guys. Thanks again for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later. Good night.